Welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits with Tisha Marie Cain, where we explore how unlocking your mindset can pave the way for unlimited success. Learn to create opportunities for legal challenges and transform your business and life through the power of publishing as a brand building tool. And now, your host, Tisha Marie Cain.
Hi, you guys. Welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits. And I am Tisha Marie Cain, where I do all things. I am elevating executive mindsets with clarity, with confidence, and strategic vision to convert all of those into opportunities, into measurable advantages. And today, we are going to be demystifying hypnotherapy. So basically, we're going to be making hypnotherapy more clear, because a lot of times as a clinical hypnotherapist, I get the question, what is hypnotherapy really? And how can I benefit from it? And how can it help me? So we are going to start out today with the definition of hypnotherapy and what Psychology Today has said hypnotherapy is. So they said that hypnotherapy is a therapeutic practice that guides people into hypnosis to help a client reach a trance-like state or focus of concentration and awareness. So this is why I love hypnotherapy, is we get to concentrate and go into a state of mind that's similar to being like completely absorbed in a book or completely absorbed in a movie or music or even one's own thoughts or meditation. In it, a person is usually responsive to an idea or an image. Like when I take people down through hypnotherapy, I often say, "Can you see a red bird?" And then they visualize that. So it is similar to that, where they're responsive to the images and the sounds and the ideas that I help them create. And they're not under anyone's control. So that's why I liked how Psychology Today said hypnotherapy is not a control thing. Because what I wanted to do today is demystify hypnotherapy and tell you what hypnotherapy is and what hypnotherapy is not. So welcome to the show, Demystifying Hypnotherapy. And this is for like executives or top leaders, anyone really. But my clientele has really been those C-suite executives. And the conversations have been around high performers. These are my CEOs, my founders, my senior executives, the owners of companies, leaders who understand that success isn't just built externally, but it's also built internally. At the top of these levels of leadership, what I've found is the game changes. Hard work alone no longer creates exponential growth. Like in the past, we hustle for our worth and all of the things. No, it's not creating exponential growth anymore. What matters is clarity, emotional regulation, intuition, and decision quality are so important for these executives and top leaders when they're growing their teams, growing their company into more wealth and more abundance. And so true wealth and abundance doesn't come from doing more. It comes from thinking clearer and surrounding yourself with a lot of focused concentration to be able to pull out the things that we need from our subconscious mind. So hypnotherapy isn't new. So if you're traveling down the road right now and you're listening to this and you're wondering, what the heck is hypnotherapy? It is not new. It has been on the rise since 1958 here in the States. And I know other countries use it a lot as well. And it's not new. And what's new is who's using it and why. So, as an executive counsel, as a clinical hypnotherapist, what I've seen is a lot of these C-suite executives are coming in to see me to be able to rewire the subconscious mind. Top leaders are using it not because they're broken, but because they're wanting optimization in their companies and in their minds. And so I want to tell you what hypnosis is not. Hypnosis is not mind control. We are not controlling your mind. And in fact, you are in total control the whole time. So if you're traveling down the roadway right now, I want you to think back. Did you ever go from point A to point B and you get to point B and you're like, I don't even remember what roads I took to get here, but I'm here. Well, that's hypnosis. The roads are hypnotizing you. And that's why I love, like, if I have a major decision to noodle out on and get clarity from, I'll just get in my car and drive, because the roads are so hypnotizing that help me focus on the road that's ahead of me and really get clarity out of my decision making. So hypnosis, it removes subconscious friction so that your conscious can operate at full capacity. And of course, I have story after client after client of profound changes under hypnotherapy. So it's not mind control, and it's certainly not sleep. Executives who thrive in hypnosis tend to be decisive and focused thinkers, because the state requires your full presence. It's not magic either. This is not like abracadabra and you're fixed. No, it's what I often say is hypnotherapy is mental engineering. We get in here and we engineer your subconscious patterning, your subconscious brain to create the reality of your dreams. And I know, don't get on to me here, but I know that's cliche, creating the reality of our dreams. But what I have found in the past, hypnotherapy is a cheat code. And I have spoken on stages and other shows about how executives are using this as a cheat code. And it has been making profound changes inside of these big corporations, big leaders, CEOs, CFOs, and they never really thought that hypnotherapy could work, and it possibly can. I also want to say that it's not a quick fix. No, the most successful leaders don't look for shortcuts. They look for leverage. Hypnotherapy is leverage. And it's funny how my executives are trying to keep this as like a little secret tool in their pocket to pull out to, like, okay, I did a hypnotherapy session and I was able to rewire my brain and really carve back what I want to create for the future. So with that, that's exactly what hypnotherapy is not. It is not magic. It's not mind control. It's not sleep. And it certainly isn't a quick fix. And why did I want to demystify hypnosis today? Let me back up. So about 10 years ago, I was suffering, and I had been suffering a long, long time. And what I mean by suffering is every day I felt sad. Now, granted, I was going through it. I had significant amount of loss. I had pure economic loss. I had lost, my mother had died. I was going through the family court with a divorce. I had lost my children in a custody battle. I mean, the loss was so tremendous. And I was suffering every single day. Until one day I thought, you know what? There ought to be a better way. And I had written a paper, a thesis paper in college, there ought to be a better way. And so I just brought that back up, and I didn't realize that that came from my subconscious brain way back then. And I brought that back up. There ought to be a better way. This life is meant to be enjoyed and relished and really be so sweet that the suffering has got to stop. So what I did is I made a decision. And now at this time, about 10 years ago, I was going through it. I mean, I was seeing a psychologist. I was seeing a psychiatrist. I was seeing a therapist. I was seeing a life coach. And I was even seeing an EMDR specialist, which was fantastic. But what I realized was along my therapy route, everyone was keeping me stuck. They were keeping me looking in the rear view mirror of my life. And I had been a victim of domestic violence. It was so, I would say disgusting. It was disgusting. But I knew that I wanted to feel better. And I knew that I was going to hire anyone and everyone to help me do that. But these therapists kept me looking in the rearview mirror and not out of the windshield of my life. So I sought out, I had graduated law school and I was suffering. I was so sad. I had this credential. What am I going to do with this now? I had gained a lot of weight. I wasn't at my best. I felt stuck. And I enlisted the help of a friend. And I said, I've done all of these things and still nothing has really helped me. And she had suggested a hypnotherapy session and asked if I knew about hypnotherapy. And I said, no, I've never heard of this before in my life. And she said, you know what, because you've tried everything, you may try this. I've heard that people have had tremendous amounts of breakthroughs, of realizations, of awareness around their life through hypnotherapy. And I said, okay, can you give me the best hypnotherapist in California? I want the best. And she goes, absolutely. So she sent me an email, and in that email was a couple of YouTube shows that I should look at. And then it was a link to a hypnotherapist. And she was all the way, I'm in Northern California. She was all the way down in the LA basin. And I knew that I had to travel. So I had a little 15-minute vibe check with her just to make sure that everything was right. And I could tell her, hey, where I am and where I wanted to go. And she said it was a complete fit, that it was, she had said that there was no doubt in her mind that hypnotherapy wouldn't be able to help me. And I signed up. I said, great, I'll be there tomorrow. And you know what? I figured it out. I packed up me and my family. We drove to LA. We spent the night. We met with the hypnotherapist. It was a 6-hour session, a deep dive back into the subconscious mind. Now, I got to be totally transparent with you. I didn't tell my husband at the time that this is what we were going to be doing, because he would thought that it was a little woo-woo and it was a little out there. And I had remarried since. So, I was still holding on to the suffering or this past life of what I thought I should have been, but it wasn't, and all the stuff. And so I just told my husband, I'm like, I have a class. If it's okay, could you, watch our son? Let me go to the class and pick me up in 6 hours. And he was like, 6 hours? And I'm like, yep. And no questions asked. He was great. So I said, before I go, you got to get me a coffee. So we went and got me a coffee, and I talked to the little barista, I guess you call him there. And she goes, oh, how are you doing? I said, great. I'm getting ready to go do this hypnotherapy session. She goes, ooh, what's that? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. And I said, well, they're going to help me because I've been really sad. And she gave me my coffee and I walked away. Well, I got dropped off at that hypnotherapy session. I did a deep dive into the subconscious brain to rewire all of the major emotions: anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame. I'm not good enough. So we went back in our timeline. And what I was able to uncover was what the hypnotherapist did was she had me go back onto my timeline in a trance-like state. I was in a safe space. I was laying down on her chaise lounge in her office, and she took me back on my timeline, and I kept moving back in time to every moment on my timeline. From the present moment all the way back to birth and beyond, if you believe in that, where I anchored in sadness. So she says, bring it up in your mind where this sadness came up. So I remembered, there was a lot of things, but one of the things I remembered was when I was 10 years old and I wrecked my bike and my bike was all messed up and I was sad. I was so sad. And then before that, I remembered when my dog had passed away and I was 6. And then I went back. Well, I went back to when I was 3 years old. Okay. Now, here's what's important to know. I couldn't get there consciously. Like if you were to say, hey, go back to when you were 3, I couldn't get there. I had to be put in a hypnotic state to be able to access the subconscious mind, to go back where there was low risks involved, to go back on my timeline and really open up my mind to see what was there. What I found was profound. And let me just be very specific with my language. I was 3 years old and I could see little Tisha Marie. She was standing next to Mom and Mom was crying profusely at the dinner table. And at that time, we had just been made aware that a family member had died. And it was my mother's sister, and she was crying at the kitchen table. And I was 3 years old and I was standing next to Mom and I was looking at Mom crying, and it was dark and I was cold and I was sad. Well, that was the moment I anchored in sadness into my life. And I anchored that in. And from there on, I carried that sadness, that remembering inside of my body what that sadness felt like. So I was accustomed to the suffering. I had anchored in the sadness in my timeline. So what we got to do, and with the hypnotherapist's guidance and love and support and direction and suggestibility, she gave me the resources that that 3-year-old little girl needed. Well, at this state of the game, I hate being cold still. And I hate when it's dark still, because it's a remembering in my body. My nervous system remembers my mother crying at that dinner table when she had lost her sister. And I was a little girl who anchored in sadness because I was sad for my mother. I was sad for me because I didn't know what was going on. So the hypnotherapist gave me the resources that I needed at that 3-year-old little girl. I needed my mommy to hug me, pick me up and hug me, tell me it was going to be okay, give me a blanket, make me feel safe, all the things. And so through the power of hypnotherapy and me going back to see that little 3-year-old little girl and understand that scene and where I anchored that in, what she did then was magical. And even though hypnotherapy isn't magic, it was magical in my life because she had me step back right before that scene had happened in my life. So step back a couple days. So I stepped back before I saw my mom. And she asked me a series of questions. That's why it's really important to have a clinical hypnotherapist or a skilled hypnotherapist. Like, I have over 2,000 hours. I have hundreds and hundreds of clients that I've taken back on their timeline through the power of hypnotherapy to rewire the subconscious mind. And she asked me a series of questions. And she brought up the scene right before I'd anchored in sadness. What I saw, and this was back in the 1980s, so I'm showing my age here, which is great because age is just a number. This was back in the 1980s, and if you can remember, in the 80s, they had these red and white little record players, and my family, my mom and dad had given me this record player that I could play a 45 on it, and what was turning on the turnstile was Eye of the Tiger, the song. Interesting enough, today, and I didn't know until this hypnotherapy session why Eye of the Tiger had been my hype song in the gym, or whenever I needed to change state, or whenever I felt bad, I could just play Eye of the Tiger. That would hype me up and I would feel amazing. Well, what we uncovered through the power of hypnotherapy was that I anchored in sadness at 3. But right before I anchored that in, my hype song was Eye of the Tiger. And I saw the little girl of Eye of the Tiger. And what we did is we reorganized that frenetic energy, brought it up through my timeline into the present day, making the changes that I needed to make, giving that little girl the resources that she needed at age 3. And when I got up from her chaise lounge, I tell you, I felt like a changed woman. I felt lighter. I felt the bricks had lifted off of my shoulders. I didn't know that it was going to be such a profound change. So after the session, I had my husband come and pick me up. And I went back to the hotel. We spent the night. The next morning, I went to the same coffee shop and ordered the same coffee. And the same barista was there. And she goes, "Oh, hi, you've changed." And I just looked at her and said, "Wow, thank you for that message." And from then on out, my husband told me I got an upgraded wife. And I didn't realize the power of one hypnotherapy session and how it could radically transform my life. And it gave me everything that I needed. I was no longer suffering from that point because I could see where I had anchored all of this in my life. And they moved me out of the effect of my life and into the cause of my life. And I was causing the suffering. So from then on out, I was like, I have got to learn this modality. I have to learn this. I need to know. I need to be able to help the people. How do I learn this? And so what happened was I flew to Australia. I spent a month in Australia getting trained to become a clinical hypnotherapist, came back. And I had to do about 200 hours before I could start charging for hypnotherapy sessions. But I knew, it was like a one and done for me. I had tried it all. I had tried psychiatry and psychology and a life coach and EMDR and all of the things, but I never had tried hypnotherapy. And it was the one thing that unlocked me, totally unlocked me. So it was this emotional clearing. And the fact that my husband said, I got an upgraded wife, because he certainly did, because I finally laid down the suffering after I had that. And I'm like, I have to learn this. I get to learn this. I'm going to be able to help lives, save lives. Let's do this. So it was this emotional clearing of the blocks. I released anger. I released fear. I released guilt and shame, not good enough, not feeling worthy. And here's what I've been having come up is many high achievers today subconsciously self-limit their wealth due to their belief systems around worth and around responsibility. And it's where the real abundance shifts happens. It's under hypnotherapy. So these top leaders, they're keeping this a secret. So I laugh because I got to get this message to the world. And that's why I wanted today's show, Beyond Mindset Limits, to talk about demystifying hypnotherapy, really just making hypnotherapy clear, what it is and what it is not. So we talked about what it's not, and we talked about why I love this modality so much. And I want to move into how we can use hypnotherapy and why many top leaders are using hypnotherapy today. So they're using it to rewire their relationship with money. And I've got story on top of story on this. I've had so many clients come through where I said, give me grade yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being you're the, richest, wealthiest billionaire that you could ever be, to 0, you're barely scraping by. What would you give yourself in relation to money? And he said a 3. And I said, okay, but didn't you just tell me you just bought a Rolex watch? That doesn't make sense. But he didn't fix his relationship with money. He still was operating at a capacity of scarcity and lack, even though. So they're using hypnotherapy to expand their capacity to receive success and to remove subconscious ceilings of income and impact. Not because they lack strategy. These top C-suite executives, they have all of the strategy, but because strategy fails when the subconscious resists expansion. And that's what hypnotherapy did for me, is it opened my mind. It unlocked something within me that I didn't know was possible to be unlocked. But I needed a helper. I needed someone to help facilitate, to ask the right questions, the good quality questions, for me to break open my subconscious mind, rewire it, and forever lay down the suffering. So right now we're going to go into why it's important that hypnotherapy can install and remove beliefs. And it's important to do this because you have clear goals, you have a clear idea what to look forward to. And hypnotherapy helps install internal beliefs such as, I'm safe to succeed. I'm safe to bring in higher levels of money. I feel calm. I can make good, clear decisions. I trust myself. Abundance begins internally, but it shows up externally. So I want to pause right there. We're going to go into a break. So let's pause right there for a moment, and we're going to listen to these sponsored messages, and we'll go there now.
What if the secret edge separating good leaders from exceptional ones isn't strategy, experience, or intelligence, but mindset? Behind closed doors, many elite C-suite leaders and senior executives rely on a powerful yet rarely discussed tool, hypnosis. With over 22 years of experience, Executive Counsel Tisha Marie Cain works with C-suite leaders and high-performing executives to quiet internal noise, sharpen decision-making, release unconscious limitations and success blocks, and operate from a place of calm authority, especially under pressure. The most effective leaders don't push harder. They lead from alignment, clarity, and control. To schedule your private hypnotherapy appointment today, visit TishaMarieCain.com.
Did you know most people pay thousands of dollars more than they need to for legal services? That's why choosing the right team matters more than you think. With over 26 years of experience, Cain's Legal Support proudly serves California and the city of Las Vegas with personalized legal support. We handle everything from divorce mediation, family law, custody matters, document preparation, and landlord-tenant issues. Plus, Cain's Legal Support offers notary public, wedding officiant services, and blackline security for executive protection, residential security, and celebrity security, where we turn monitoring into action. So whatever your legal and security needs are, Cain's Legal Support is your concierge legal and protection services every step of the way. Contact Cain's Legal Support today at cainslegalsupport.com for personalized legal and security solutions that fit your needs.
And we're back with Beyond Mindset Limits with Tisha Marie Cain. And I do all things elevating executive mindsets. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I bridge the gap between law and life. And I help executives with clarity, confidence, and strategic vision to help them convert opportunities into measurable advantages. And today we're talking about demystifying hypnotherapy and why hypnotherapy can be used as a modality to enhance your business. So thank you for being here for the show. I'm really excited to bring this to you and have this conversation with you, because I have had many clients who have had so much transformation on the other side of hypnotherapy. They've had emotional liberation. They're free from the burdens of their life. That was certainly my story. I was finally free from the burdens of my life. Individuals often report a significant sense of relief and lightness after a session. They feel like they're lifted up. And I have seen this like physically in their body, where they are physically taller when they leave my office than when they return. It's like this 2% shift in their body, in their chest, where they're like, whew, I'm finally been released from those burdens, and I have emotional liberation. So it's so fantastic. They typically see enhanced self-awareness. I even had an executive owner of a legacy company. He said, you know what, Tisha? He goes, I don't know what you've done to me, but he goes, I feel like I'm a changed man. And I said, yes, we've done, this work is hard. It's hard work to go back on your timeline and see why you anchored in these major emotions and where you did. Hypnotherapy is kind of like the janitor. It goes in and it cleans up all these bad, negative emotions, or I say bad, and they're not bad. Actually, we need to harness that shadow emotion too. I mean, they're all good. They're all here to serve us. But when they're not, that's why hypnotherapy is being used as a secret cheat code to help elevate your life, transform your life. People are reporting more positive mindset shifts. They're cultivating optimism. They're like, okay, the glass is now finally half full instead of always being half empty. They release negative emotions. They're more positive on life. They're seeing individuals become more open to opportunities and possibilities. I've even had executives where we've transformed their life, and then they go back to the office, and then their right-hand man or their VP is like, okay, what has happened to you? Because you're different. You've changed. Let me in on the secret. And then they come see me. So then I'm seeing the whole cabinet. I'm seeing everyone there, all of the top executives, just to kind of rewire their mindset, because they're on this, pattern. And we just do a pattern interrupt with hypnotherapy. A lot of them on the other side of a hypnotherapy, they are having more improved relationships. They are having better communication at home, better communication with their children, with their partner, better communication at work. They heal these emotional wounds. Individuals often find it easier to communicate more openly and honestly after a hypnotherapy session. They feel like they have less emotional baggage. They feel like they have this awareness around what happened, and they're being able to look at it from a perceptual position, look at it through someone else's eyes. And so they're getting improved relationships, better communication, heightened creativity and productivity. I've unlocked artists who didn't even know that they were artists. They said, I had all of this bottled inside of me, but it wasn't until I released shame around whatever I was carrying that I came out and my art came online. It's so fantastic. And that's why I'm so passionate and intimate with this form of transformation because I know it works. I've seen it work. As much as I love the one and done, one and done, if you have something that you're like, okay, I've done it all like I did in the past, like I've done it all, I've used it all, every modality out there, but I haven't done this. Hypnotherapy is going to like radically change your life in one session. But if you haven't done any of the work, you come back for 12 sessions, holy smokes, you're going to be transformed. But this isn't for the faint of heart, just so you know. This is hard work to go back in the subconscious mind, see what's there, bring it up. The subconscious brings up past events for resolution. Sometimes the subconscious mind keeps things repressed for your protection. And so it's so beautiful to know the subconscious mind is so vast and can be rewired. After a hypnotherapy session, people are sensing like reduced stress symptoms. They've released the negative emotions, and they've seen like less headaches and less fatigue and less insomnia. They've even called me like one session, and I'll get to that towards the end of the show, but I'll give you an integration call. So after our hypnotherapy session, after a week, we'll just do a little touch base and say, hey, how are you doing? And they've said, hey, I've put in a early morning practice or a epic evening routine, and I started exercising again, and I feel more alive than ever before. I didn't realize that was holding me down. And I'm like, yes, let's go. You know, when we have that integration call, it's normally day one. This is where they start rebuilding their lives because they can put down anger or put down fear that they've been holding on. Fear keeps you stuck. And so now they're creating at magnitudes that they never thought before. They have more affirmations of healthier thought patterns in their brain. They have their mindset like reinforced with positive thinking. They're achieving more goals with clarity, and they feel more empowered. Like on the other side of a hypnotherapy appointment, if you guys have not had a hypnotherapy appointment, you have got to sign up with either me or find the best hypnotherapist out there, because I cannot talk to you enough about how this is so safe and easy and it gets to the root cause and the core of what's happening, and why you've been stuck and why you're not living out the life that you once thought you should. You're going to get so much growth and lasting change, in addition to like continual self-improvement. The transformation often sparks a commitment to ongoing personal development and self-care. And that's what it does. Creating that positive feedback loop in your life. Because now you're like, okay, I can finally put this down. I don't have to be, feel guilty about this anymore. And it was just something that I made meaning of in the past. And I can finally lay it down. And you feel unlocked and you feel creative. And it's almost like, wow, I can create anything from here, because now I can wipe the slate clean and start creating. Transformation on the other side of hypnotherapy is not merely about the absence of negative emotions. It's about the emergence of more vibrancy, more empowerment, more fulfilled self. The journey can lead to a more balanced life, of course, where individuals thrive emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. They release anger and sadness, fear, guilt, shame, and that opens the door to new possibilities, allowing individuals to live authentically with purpose. So I'm going to give you some examples of success stories, and I have hundreds of them, but some really profound ones where hypnotherapy was used because a client had burnout. One of my clients didn't know her purpose in life, so we went back to find out what that was. One of my clients wanted to release weight and tried all of it, all of the diet programs, everything, and wasn't able to release weight. And we used hypnotherapy for a weight release. One client didn't know how to use her voice, and she said, I have so much fear when I get up and speak. I just need help unlocking my throat chakra so I can really speak my truth. One client, she had so much fear. She just felt stuck in every aspect of her life. We used hypnotherapy to go back and rewire fear. We do a money mindset. We fix your relationship with money. It's a hypnosis session, but we go in and we find out all the stories because, our money stories are given to us by our family. No one really teaches us about money, right? Our money stories come from mom and dad. And however mom and dad showed up, like my dad, if you're listening, Dad, don't get on to me here, but my dad, he always used to say, Miss Tisha Marie, you better save for a rainy day. And so I found myself, and of course I did the hypnotherapy for money mindset, of course, because it radically transformed my life to release sadness. So I wanted to use it to release all of it and rewire my relationship with money. And I rewired my relationship with money. And what I saw was I was operating from a place of scarcity. I was always saving for a rainy day. Any of my bags, I had a couple extra dollars in my purses, or I'd put $5, $10 under my mattress, or I'd save some money in my car. I always had money stashed away for a rainy day. And I was thinking, okay, this is silly. And you know what came out under that hypnotherapy session was, what do I do when it is raining? I normally sit home, watch a movie, snuggle up on the sofa and read a good book, right? I don't spend money. So why am I saving for a rainy day? This don't make sense. And then what money said is, why are you kidnapping me? When you release me, money is energy. The moment you invest in something, I'm going to come back to you tenfold. And so under this hypnotherapy session, rewiring my relationship to money, holy moly, all of these stories came up. I was like, wow, I made that up. Like, no one gave me that. I just made it up. And it was dumb. It was so dumb. Like, I had been storing money here and there. And then once I was like, okay, and I remember this is my own personal story. So I was like, okay, now I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm going to impact millions of lives using hypnotherapy. And now I'm going to open up my office. So I'm going to open up my office. I need all the little things. I need a chaise lounge. I need a little desk. I need all the little things. And so I went to the market and I bought all of those things, and it was a visceral feeling. It was like, okay, I had invested about, I think I remember it was like $800. And I use the words here correctly. I'm also an NLP practitioner. So using the correct words, we don't spend money. When you spend money, you waste it. When you spend time with someone, you waste it. We invest time with someone. I was investing in the furniture for my office, and it was somewhere around $800. And I said, you know what? I have just rewired my relationship with money, and I thank you for all the abundance things, and I am happy to pay. I'm happy to pay. And I paid the $800 for all the furniture, opened up my office, and it was that night that I got 2 clients signed up for that week that was over the $800. And I thought, wow, this is really where it's at. So I had my own money story. Plus I help people rewrite their own money story. I've had clients feel not good enough. I had a client up in Washington. She's an ice cream truck lady. Her story is so profound. She has, I think she's up to like 4 ice cream trucks now. She came in for a hypnotherapy session. She drove all the way down from Washington. She said, Miss Tisha Marie Cain, I heard you were the best in town and I want to be with you. And I said, I am, let's go. And it was so great. And she goes, what I've been holding on to my whole entire life is never feeling good enough. And I've always had to hustle for my worth. And I've always had to do all these things. And I just, no matter what I do, I never feel good enough, And I'm like, great, cool. Let's do that. Let's rewire your subconscious mind. Go back in time on your timeline. Find out where you anchored in not good enough and really find out what's there, right? And so what we're able to uncover is not only has she been good enough, she's been good enough her whole entire life. And she said, wow, I made meaning over something that seemingly had no meaning. Like, why did I do that? But she was a little girl. She didn't know. But now as an adult perspective, under hypnotherapy, she was able to go back, look at it, rewire that frenetic energy, change it around, give the little girl the resources that she needed. And I tell you what, she is making more money up in Washington selling ice cream in a rainy state, right? She even called me on our integration call after. She even called me and said, you know what, Tisha, here's where we're at. I got 4 ice cream trucks now. I have people knocking down my door, signing me up for all the concerts in the parks. She goes, I even had the retirement center call me and say, hey, we want you out here every Tuesday to bring ice cream to the little guys who live here. And we want you here every Tuesday, and we want you to play your little ice cream song. And she sent me a picture of the money she had made. She made $2,700 on that one visit because she had went and did a hypnotherapy appointment and changed her whole entire life. And what I want you to know is you don't have to sign up with me, but you should, because I'm awesome and I'm good at it. Find a good hypnotherapy intensive. Find a good clinical hypnotherapist, someone who can go back, rewire your subconscious brain to allow you to more. It's the door to more. It really is. What I want you to know is if you're a top leader who has strategy, who has team, who has the experience, but you know something internal is still capping your next level, then I want you to know that this is for you. This is not a coaching session. It's not therapy, and it's not mindset work. You're already tired of all of that. This is a private hypnotherapy intensive with me designed for executives who want to remove subconscious limits, sharpen decision-making, and expand your capacity for wealth, for leadership, for abundance without adding more to their schedule. If this sounds good, I want you to come and visit my website. Go and make an appointment with me. You get a 90-minute private one-on-one hypnotherapy session. Plus you get 2 strategic integration calls. These are like a week later and the week after that, because I want to make sure that we're creating momentum. And I want you to come and sign up. Do this because it's going to propel you to the next level. What makes this different? I want you to know that most performance work focuses on strategy. And this work focuses on the subconscious operating system. We do a pattern interrupt. We rewire the subconscious mind, subconscious operating system that determines how well strategy actually works. And this intensive is designed to clear emotional residue and silently get rid of all of those deep negative major emotions. So there's a lot in this, but I'm so passionate about hypnotherapy and what it can and what it doesn't do. It facilitates change. It stabilizes your world for the next level leader that you are. It reinforces new internal patterns. You get to anchor in clarity, confidence, abundance, resources, and you get real results. We measure everything. clarity. You feel calmer when you're making decisions. You have increased confidence. I even have stories where the next time they've come in for a second hypnotherapy appointment, they're totally changed. They got a new car. They're wearing new shoes. They got a new shirt on. They're like totally changed. They look different. They sound different. They feel different. The whole energy, their whole aura has changed after a hypnotherapy session. So I know this was a lot that I've been giving it out to you guys today, but it really is something that radically changed my life. I went on to develop my own radical breakthrough protocol, and this will set you straight. It will go back and rewire those negative emotions. If you're looking to release weight, if you're looking to release anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, not good enough, if those things right there are holding you back, I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you explore what is out there and what is going to be your next level leader. So there's no pressure. It's just a conversation to see if hypnotherapy can really work for you. And I'm certain that it will. Okay, the most powerful leaders don't just upgrade their businesses, they upgrade their running systems, their subconscious systems. So I want you to know that it's so important that we come in here and we really do the work to rewire our subconscious brains. And hypnotherapy is just one modality. There's tons out there. There's tons of modality: breath work, yoga, meditation, prayer. I'm just really passionate about private hypnotherapy sessions and what they do for people and what they do for businesses, because it's the ripple effect out into the world. It's out into your immediate teams, out into your businesses, out into the world, your families. Like, this is so good. It clears out all of the noise that you've been running because we get to rewire that. So through hypnotherapy and the subconscious integration, we've learned that you can regulate your nervous system there too and feel calmer, more connected to your community, to your teams. You have so much clarity, and it makes things actionable. When leaders operate from a state that of confidence after they've cleared out these negative emotions, their presence becomes stabilizing, strategic, and deeply trustworthy. So I invite you to go to tishamariecain.com and just look into it. Do some deep dives. Could hypnotherapy work for me? Because I know it can. I know it has changed lives. The transformation on the other side of it has been phenomenal. Fortune 500 VPs are using this. Top leaders, executives, A-listers, C-suite leaders, top entrepreneurs. They all want this little cheat code. And it's funny because they keep keeping it a secret. It is not a secret. So I want to get the word out. Okay, guys, thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining Tisha Marie Cain for Beyond Mindset Limits. Tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. as a conversation continues around mindset, legal insight, and publishing as a strategic tool for business positioning. Visit tishamariecain.com or cainslegalsupport.com for more information or to schedule your private appointment.